Jennifer Lopez talks about recovering from Marc Anthony divorce. Divorce is never easy. But when you're one of the most famous women in the world, going through a divorce doesn't happen quietly. It unfolds under the spotlight, with millions of people watching, analyzing, and speculating about every detail. For global superstar Jennifer Lopez, her split from Latin music legend Marc Anthony was more than just the end of a marriage. It was one of the most emotionally challenging chapters of her life. They had been married for 7 years. They shared 2 children together, twins Max and Emmy. They had built a life that seemed powerful, glamorous, and stable from the outside. But behind the scenes, things were far more complicated. When their marriage ended in 2011, Jennifer Lopez found herself facing heartbreak, public scrutiny, and the responsibility of helping her young children navigate a major family change. Yet instead of letting that moment define her, she chose to rebuild, emotionally, personally, and professionally. Over the years, Jennifer Lopez has spoken openly about the pain of that breakup, the lessons she learned from it, and how it ultimately changed the way she understood love, self-worth, and resilience. This is the story of how Jennifer Lopez recovered from her divorce from Marc Anthony, and how that painful chapter became one of the most transformative periods of her life. To understand the impact of the divorce, we first have to understand the relationship. Jennifer Lopez and Marc Anthony's romance felt almost destined. The two had known each other for years before they actually became a couple. They met in the late 1990s when both were rising stars in the Latin music world. Marc Anthony once famously told Jennifer that she would become a huge star long before she reached global fame. In 2004, the two surprised the world by secretly getting married. Their wedding came shortly after Jennifer's highly publicized breakup with actor Ben Affleck. The marriage seemed like a fresh start. Together, Jennifer and Marc became one of the most powerful Latin couples in entertainment. They collaborated musically, appeared together publicly, and built a life that blended family and career. In 2008, they welcomed their twins, Max and Emmy. For Jennifer Lopez, becoming a mother was life-changing. She often said that her children became her greatest priority and source of joy. From the outside, everything looked perfect. But as many couples eventually learn, appearances can be deceiving. In July 2011, Jennifer Lopez and Marc Anthony released a joint statement announcing their separation. For fans, it came as a major surprise. The couple had seemed strong and supportive of each other in public. But Jennifer later explained that the decision to separate had been incredibly difficult. Ending a marriage is painful under any circumstances. But doing it while raising young children, and while the entire world is watching, adds another level of pressure. Jennifer has said that the breakup forced her to confront some deep emotional truths about herself and her relationships. She realized that sometimes love alone isn't enough to sustain a marriage. There must also be compatibility, emotional health, and a sense of personal fulfillment. The separation marked the beginning of a long healing process. And at the center of that process were her children. Jennifer Lopez has openly admitted that the divorce left her feeling devastated. At the time, she described the experience as one of the hardest moments in her life. She had always believed in love, marriage, and building a family. The idea that her marriage had failed was deeply painful. She questioned herself. She wondered what went wrong. And she struggled with the emotional weight of ending a relationship with someone she once deeply loved. In interviews, Jennifer has talked about feeling lost during that period. She said the experience forced her to look inward and ask difficult questions about her patterns in relationships. Why did she stay in certain situations? Why did she sometimes accept less than she deserved emotionally? These questions became part of her journey toward self-discovery. And although the process was painful, it also helped her grow. While Jennifer Lopez was dealing with heartbreak, she also had another major responsibility, being a mother. Max and Emmy were only 3 years old when their parents separated. Jennifer has often said that her children became her anchor during that difficult time. They gave her a reason to stay strong. They reminded her what truly mattered. Instead of focusing solely on her own pain, she focused on creating a stable and loving environment for them. She also worked hard to maintain a healthy co-parenting relationship with Marc Anthony. Despite the end of their marriage, both parents agreed on one important priority: protecting their children. Jennifer has said that she and Marc remained committed to supporting each other as parents. They attended events together and communicated about the twins' needs. For Jennifer, maintaining that cooperation was essential. Because at the end of the day, she wanted her children to feel loved by both parents. One of the biggest lessons Jennifer Lopez says she learned after the divorce was how to be comfortable on her own. For much of her adult life, she had been in high-profile relationships. From early romances to marriages and engagements, she rarely spent long periods single. After her divorce from Marc Anthony, she began to realize something important. She needed to learn how to be happy without relying on a relationship. That realization became a turning point. Jennifer began focusing more deeply on personal growth. She spent time reflecting on her past relationships and understanding what she truly wanted in the future. She also invested energy into her career, her health, and her role as a mother. Gradually, she began rebuilding her confidence and sense of independence. And that process helped her rediscover her strength. Over time, Jennifer Lopez began to view her divorce not just as a painful ending, but as an opportunity for transformation. She often talks about the importance of learning from difficult experiences. Instead of holding on to bitterness, she chose to focus on growth. She worked on building a stronger relationship with herself. She learned to recognize her worth. She became more aware of what she needed emotionally in a partnership. Jennifer has said that sometimes life breaks your heart in order to open your eyes. And for her, the divorce was one of those moments. It forced her to confront truths that she might otherwise have avoided. And in doing so, it helped her become stronger and more self-aware. One remarkable aspect of Jennifer Lopez's recovery process was the respect she maintained for Marc Anthony. Even after the divorce, she continued to speak positively about him. She has often described him as an incredible father and a talented artist. The two even continued working together professionally after their split. This level of mutual respect is not always common after high-profile breakups. But Jennifer has said that maintaining that respect was important, not just for them, but for their children. By showing unity as parents, they created a healthier environment for Max and Emmy. Their ability to co-parent successfully became an example of how divorced couples can still work together for the sake of their family. In the years following her divorce, Jennifer Lopez's love life continued to evolve. She dated several people and eventually entered another high-profile